Alright, so let's get this started. A lot of people ask when friends and whatnot, so this is just so that my friends and whatnot, I can just post this video for them um, when they have to change their FEP. This is pretty simple. This FEP is still pretty new, but I'm changing out to nFEP, which is a little bit slicker, so the stuff doesn't stick to the FEP as much as traditional FEP. So the first step that I did is I made sure that this vat right here was pretty clean. But even with it being clean like this, the first thing you're going to want to do, because if you can see right in here, there's still um, resin on the inside. So um, you definitely don't want to touch that. And you can see back here with almost every single vat, it doesn't matter how good you are with tightening this FEP down. You're gonna right where this little wall is and this bracket meet, you're gonna have the resin will leak underneath there. It doesn't go any further than that because obviously it's really tight on this edge right here, so it doesn't go past that. But you definitely want to be wearing gloves. So let's go put my gloves on right now. So with this stuff, you always want to use nitro gloves. Um, I guess like latex and stuff like that would be fine, but I always use nitrile because it gives you the dexterity and stuff like that. Obviously, I know it's for a lot of people that gloves are hard to find right now, especially nitrile gloves. A lot of people buying this stuff out because of COVID. So, but all right, we're all gloved up. Got my safety glasses on, and we're gonna get working on this FEP. I already have one screw out because I started before I realized I wanted to record this. So, here we go. So I'm just gonna take these FEP screws out. I've already gone around and loosened all of them. So I just went around with the Allen key and loosened all of these up with this side because you never want to tighten all the way or loosen a tighten screw with this ball joint piece right here. See if we can get that to focus. Focus on it. Focus. All right, camera, work with me. Yeah, so that ball joint right there, so that'll strip your screws easily. That's for when it's still semi-loose. So your final tightening and um, your initial loosening should always be done with the the flat side of it. I apologize if my hand's getting in the way. Lower that light a little bit. There we go. I am going to have to step away here in about 15 minutes because I have bacon in the oven. Um, so just to pull it out of the oven. Or maybe I can get it done in time. Actually, changing your FEP is really quick, especially with this style vat, which this is from the Frozen Sonic Mini 4K. This is their vat. This style vat with this ring that keeps the pressure on it is that you just kind of screw the ring down is really good. You don't have to worry about the bottle cap method or anything. It's going to automatically get it to the right tightness, so you don't ever have to worry about it. Whereas like with like the anticubic photons, the vat is done a little bit differently. But I definitely I like this style a lot. It makes it super easy to change out the FEP. You see it's already starting to loosen up a little bit. Alright, so to take it out, you just kind of put your hands underneath and just kind of push up on it, and it's going to come out. And see, that's where you're going to see this residue all along this edge. And you'll take this part right here, this is your old FEP, and just toss it. So we're going to go ahead and toss that. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to throw it in my UV curing station and cure all that resin that's still on it before I toss it. You never want to throw away uncured resin. Always cure it before, either in the sun outside or in your curing station. So I'm going to take some alcohol here, just a little bit on a cloth or a little rag here, just to clean up the rest of this vat so we have a nice clean surface on this ring. Just scrub it real clean. You do this. You should do the same thing for your rags too. So like these rags here, and there are sharp edges on this, so be careful. You know, with your gloves or your fingers and stuff like that. So it can cut you. So we're just gonna take this right here. Just scrub this channel really good. Get that residue off of there really good. There we go. So that's nice and clean. Clean the rest. All right. So now we have a good, nice clean surface to work with. And you want to keep your gloves on because you don't want your oils from your hands getting on that FEP, especially on the LCD facing side. So let's go grab our FEP. All right. So FEP is usually packaged in this way. So this is nFEP from Epax. And it comes in this size right here, and it's one size fits most of your small format, like your 6-inch screens, 6-inch SLA screens. So you're just gonna place it on there, right? So that's where this particular method makes it super easy. So see this bracket right here? You have a side that has no countersinks in it, and you decide countersink. So your countersink side, right, is going to be facing, with your vat facing down, is going to be facing up. And that's going to allow you to where these heads will be flush. Otherwise, these heads right here, you can see right here, they won't be flush. So you have to make sure that the countersinks are going to be facing towards where your LCD screen is. You're just going to like lay that on top of there just like that. Okay? So lay that on top of there. Then you're going to grab yourself your X-Acto knife or razor blade, whatever your thing is. I have this little hobby knife that I like to use. And you're going to poke a hole. Alright, so if you've ever put a tire on, that's the way that this is going to go on. It's going to be the same thing. So I'm going to start up here. Right? I don't like to start in the corners. I like to start in these edges here. I'm just going to poke a hole. Okay? That gives something for the screw to go through. And we'll put the screw in. Right? And I can use this ball joint because I'm not putting a lot of pressure. And I'm just going to get started in here. It takes a little bit of downward force to get it started. I'm just going to get it started. I'm just going to go to where it's like right at the top here. See, it's not all the way down on that edge, but it's fairly snug because I'm going to want to make sure that this goes down evenly. Okay, and I'm going to do the same opposite opposite edge over here. Just poke a hole, grab a screw, and you can see it's really loose right now, but you'll see that it'll tighten up as this bracket brings it down into that U channel that we cleaned out earlier. Alright, so we're just going to bring it down. We're just trying to get it to where like it's about even. So now we are here. Let's go over here. You just kind of want to bounce around to where like you're not tightening all of it in one place. All right. Like I said, as we tighten it, you'll see like this back one here, right, is going to get loose, right? Because we're going to keep bouncing around and slowly tighten this thing down so where the FEP is stretched evenly across. Okay, if drummers, when you're tightening up your drums, like it's pretty much the same thing. So we're here. So let's go over here. Just like a tire. And I do have better tools to do this with, like these screwdriver style ones, but I wanted to do it with the Allen keys that ship with it. That way I can show you that you can do it with these. You don't need to buy any type of special tools or anything like that. I mean, razor blade definitely helps. Hobby knife. So we're here. Let's go do this one right here. Just poke a hole. And you can poke a hole with anything sharp. I've seen people use like awls or you know pen or whatever, just something to poke a hole so that the screw can get through. And you see, like now we're starting to fit inside this groove here. Obviously, it's not even, right? Because we're going to come up here next, kind of try to even it out. Oh, my bacon's done. Let me get this screw in. Let's take the bacon out of the oven. Take my gloves off. Alright, I gotta put new gloves on, guys. Alright. Gloves back on. Let's get back to work. Alright, so the last screw that we did, you see like this screw's like popping up right here, so I'm just going to go back there and just tighten that one down. Just to get it snug, right? Alright, so now let's go over to this side right here. We can actually poke all these holes because it's not going to move anymore. Just poke all those holes. And we don't have to worry about poking holes anymore. Alright, so go in here. Tighten it down, just give it a few cranks. Alright, go over top here. Should give me a little silicone pad so this doesn't slip around. Yeah, once you start feeling that pressure of it like being hard, you want to kind of like move on to the next one. Don't really reef down on any side. Once it gets hard to move, just kind of, all right, stop, and then move on to the next one. You see now, we're pretty tight. It's kind of tuning itself. Because the way that this is designed to pull it in to the ideal tightness. And this FEP is really good stuff. It'll reduce the amount of failures you get on your SLA prints big time. Just because it's more likely to stick to your build plate and not the FEP where it's not supposed to stick. I've seen people try to use like Rain-X and stuff like that on their FEPs to make it more slick. I've never tried that, honestly, but this nFEP, which isn't that much more than traditional FEP, from Epax is some really good stuff. Tighten it up. It's almost impossible to mess this type of vat up. I really wish like Anycubic would switch over to this style. I don't know if they have on the new ones, their monos, but I know the photons all have the older style, which it doesn't automatically tension. So, all right, now that's our last screws. Now we're going to actually want to tighten down as far as we can on all of them. Not like super tight. We'll go around and finish with this side, like I mentioned earlier. Just snug, okay? Just where it becomes hard to turn. Here. And this is where like you're just gonna be chasing it around, making sure all the screws are tight, but going around. Kind of a little bit more difficult than a tire because there's obviously more screws than there is on a tire, but you just want to kind of like bounce around from opposite side to opposite side, make sure that these are getting tight fairly evenly. Hear that? It's pretty much already where it needs to be, and the rest of the tightening is just going to make it a little bit better. You remember how loose it was at the beginning? Alright, so now we're going to go around with this side. We're going to just really tighten these down. You just kind of want to hand tighten. I'm sure there's a torque spec for these. I'm not sure what it is. But just hand tight is fine. The pressure kind of holds them in place. They're not going to back out. I mean, obviously, there's not really much room for them to back out, so I'm just going to go around and check all of them. Alright, so they're all tightened now. And you can kind of see that they're all nice and flush and they're below this channel, right? Kind of is raised up a little bit. So this channel is what fits onto your printer. These edges of this channel here, like right here and here. This is actually recessed to where the screws aren't touching the bottom. All right, so the next step is we got to cut this extra stuff off. So it's pretty simple. You just take your X-Acto knife very carefully and just kind of like go on the edge and just trace it around. Takes a little bit more effort in the corners. All right, so my headset's back on. Okay, we're just gonna follow this around. Every now and then, just make a vertical cut in it. That way, we're not working with a big thing flopping off on the end. We'll turn that light back on so I can see. Sorry if that's a little bit too bright on screen. It's obviously the FEP is a little reflective, but I really need to see so I don't cut myself. Oop. It's okay to go back and clean up spots. Okay. Just rotate it around. That suits you. Obviously, I'm trying to do this so you can see it on the camera what I'm doing. The corners are the hardest, obviously, because it's kind of like scrunched in that corner there. All right. So there's the outside edge is all taken off, so we're nice and smooth on this edge. There's nothing sticking out. The last thing that we need to do is that on this particular printer, there's posts that stick up through that it connects to. So we're just going to poke holes in here, make like a little X, so that those posts can fit through and tighten the FEP down. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much done. Like obviously we'll dust it off so that there's none of that that dust in there. Look nice clean rag. Wash it down with some alcohol and we'll be good. And it'll go in. This will go in the printer, and obviously you're seeing stuff that's behind it. It will go into the printer after it's clean. That's just little flakes from these stupid rags. A little bit of alcohol, and they don't get those little dust flakes, even though these are supposed to be non-dusty style rags. But I'll go in the printer. That'll help you reduce your failure. You can see it's like you can hear it. It's nice and tight. Sounds like a drum, and like a nice snare drum. And that's pretty much that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to do other than put this in the printer and um, fill the vat with some resin and hit go. All right. If anyone has any more questions, you just feel free to drop some questions down in the comments of this video. If you have any questions, I'll answer what I can. All right.